There are truths hidden in the pages of the Bible that few dare to uncover. Among them, one reveals secrets that could change the way we see life and eternity forever. It is no ordinary mystery. It is something that crosses the visible and touches the invisible. For centuries, this message has been camouflaged, mentioned in brief passages, but rarely explained in depth. Why this silence? What makes this teaching so special, yet so neglected? Understanding this is like opening a door to a completely new dimension, something that not only transforms what we know, but also connects us to something infinitely greater than any earthly understanding. It's the kind of revelation that challenges, unsettles, and at the same time, enlightens. These are not empty words, but a truth that demands to be explored with care and attention. Are you ready for this journey? What is about to be revealed could transform your perspective on what really matters in life. The concept of the three heavens. There's a fascinating idea hidden in the Bible, little talked about but incredibly intriguing: the three heavens. It's not just something mystical or distant, but a profound revelation about spiritual life. Anyone who has ever stopped to reflect on what this really means can feel the complexity of this concept, which goes far beyond clouds and stars. The first sky is something we all see on a daily basis, but perhaps without realizing its true function. Moving away from the simplicity of the visible sky, we find a second mysterious sky. This one is not accessible to human eyes, but its impact is felt at every moment. It is there, according to the Bible, that spiritual forces fight invisible battles, fighting for what many of us don't even fully understand. Before we continue, I want to ask you something special. If this topic has already piqued your curiosity and you want to learn even more, subscribe to the channel now. This way, you'll be supporting our work and ensuring that you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Also, leave your like and share with those who need to hear this message. Your interaction makes all the difference. These battles in the second heaven are not just symbolic stories. They shape our lives in ways we don't always realize. Every decision, every difficulty can be connected to this spiritual dimension, where forces of good and evil constantly clash. And then there is the third heaven, the most sublime of all, where the direct presence of God reigns. This is not just a place, but a state of perfection and glory. It is there that the promise of eternal peace is fulfilled, reserved for those who faithfully follow the sacred teachings of the Bible. The concept of the three heavens unites the tangible and the invisible, connecting our earthly existence to the eternal. But why is this powerful subject treated almost as a secret? There is a silent resistance to bringing up issues that challenge the focus on what is material. Perhaps many fear that understanding the heavens will shift our priorities. After all, if people understood the depth of these dimensions, wouldn't their lives be transformed? Or does the discomfort in approaching something so spiritual reveal a weakness in our own faith? While the world seeks scientific explanations for everything, the concept of the three heavens remains an enigma, mixing what we can see with what we must believe. It is an invitation to explore not only the universe, but the deepest mysteries of our existence. And so the Bible continues to raise questions that we are not always ready to answer. The three heavens are not just about what is above us, but about what shapes everything around us. Are we prepared to understand and live with this profound truth? The first heaven. Of all the dimensions mentioned in the Bible, the first heaven seems to be the simplest, but it is full of meaning. Looking at it may seem ordinary after all, it's always above us, but who really understands what it represents? This visible sky has a much greater function than it appears. The atmosphere that surrounds us is not just a natural element. It was carefully created to sustain life on Earth, acting as a protective shield against external forces. Every detail, from the blue that illuminates the day to the brilliance of the stars at night, reflects divine grandeur in action. This mantle that covers the world is not just there to impress or inspire. The clouds, winds, and rain play essential roles, creating a balance necessary for survival. Something so everyday holds an extraordinary complexity that cannot be ignored. The Bible reminds us that this first heaven is a reflection of God's creative hand. It is right in front of our eyes, but often goes unnoticed, even though it is a constant reminder of God's presence in our existence. At the same time, the first heaven is a symbol of connection. It unites visible reality with what lies beyond human reach, creating a link between the earthly and the spiritual. Its immensity reveals a sense of purpose that transcends what is apparent. The natural beauty of this sky, from every sunrise to every sunset, reflects the infinite creativity of the Creator. It is a living demonstration of harmony and balance, a silent spectacle that repeats itself every day without ever losing its impact. However tangible the first sky may be, it is only an introduction. There is a limit to what can be seen, like a veil covering what is reserved for other levels of existence. Creation doesn't end here, it just points the way. The first sky is proof that nothing in creation was done by chance. Every detail, from the colors of the sky to the cycle of the seasons, reveals an intentional planning that sustains life and order in the world. Its presence is constant, even if its depth often goes unnoticed. What is visible in the first sky brings a sense of continuity that connects the earthly with the eternal. It is not the end, but the beginning of a journey that leads to what is deeper and more spiritual. And so the second heaven begins to reveal itself, with all its mysteries. The second heaven. If the first heaven is within sight, the second lies beyond, in an invisible dimension. The Bible describes it as a place where intense spiritual battles take place, shaping realities that we don't always understand. It's not something you can touch or see, but its impact is felt every moment. This second heaven is the scene of a continuous struggle between the forces of good and evil. It's like a spiritual arena where human decisions and actions have far-reaching consequences. Every choice, however simple it may seem, reverberates in this space. The scriptures reveal that this dimension is not a myth or an abstract idea. It directly influences our lives, bringing up internal and external conflicts that often challenge us. It is not a distant space, but a parallel reality that interacts with everyday life. In this environment, spiritual forces act in constant opposition. Good seeks to protect, guide, and strengthen, while evil tries to divert and destroy. It's a silent but relentless battle, fought on a level that is beyond direct human reach. The second heaven is not a place of peace, but of confrontation. It represents the tension between light and darkness, a dispute that has no pause. It is there that prayers become weapons and faith a shield against invisible but powerful attacks. Although it is a place of conflict, the second heaven is also a reflection of divine grace, which allows the faithful to resist and overcome adversity. Every spiritual victory here echoes, bringing strength and renewal even in the most difficult circumstances. This invisible dimension is not isolated. It is connected to our earthly lives. Its influences, although subtle, are decisive. Often the challenges we face on a daily basis have their roots in this invisible battle, requiring us to be discerning and resilient. At the same time, the second heaven points to a greater reality that transcends the limits of what is material. It reminds us that spiritual life is just as real as physical life, even if it often goes unnoticed or ignored. The second heaven is a link between what we see and what is to come. Its silent battles pave the way for something greater, which is in store in the third heaven. It's a call to vigilance and faith, because the story doesn't end here. If this theme is already making you think, it's because it carries a unique depth. So take this opportunity to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any content that could transform your perspective. Leave a like and share this video with those who also need to know this message. Together, we can reach more people. The third heaven. After the confrontation and tension that permeate the second heaven, the third heaven emerges as the final destination, where the fullness of the divine presence is revealed. This is the heaven of perfection, a place reserved for those who walk the path of faith. Here, there is no pain, no shadow of imperfection, only eternal glory. The Bible describes this place as a state of absolute peace, where time and space cease to exist as we know them. It is the heaven that transcends all human understanding, a sanctuary of light where God reigns supreme, surrounded by angels and purified souls. This third heaven is not just a place, but the culmination of everything spiritual. It is the final goal of the earthly journey, the destination of those who remain steadfast in the face of adversity. Every act of faith echoes in this space, like a song that resonates for eternity. The divine presence is the center of this heaven. There is no need for the sun or stars, because the light emanating from God is enough to illuminate everything. It is an environment of perfection, where justice, kindness, and love exist in their purest form. Life in the third heaven is described as a state of continuous glory. All that is earthly, transitory, and imperfect dissolves, giving way to the true essence of what we were created to be. It is the promised rest after the journey of life. The mysteries of the third heaven are an invitation to spiritual longing. It is not just an end point, but a reward that gives meaning to the journey. Here, all suffering and struggle find their purpose, in a place where eternity reveals the true dimension of existence. The third heaven connects humanity directly with God, eliminating barriers and limitations. There is no more fear, sadness, or uncertainty, only the certainty of full communion, which is the greatest treasure for those who persevere in faith. This heaven is more than a promise. It is a reflection of divine faithfulness, a constant reminder that the previous heavens, with their challenges and beauties, are only an introduction to what is in store for those who trust and wait. Every aspect of the third heaven reveals a piece of the eternity that awaits. It is not a distant place, but the destination to which every faithful soul is called. And it is here that the story of faith reaches its climax, in a place where the temporal dissolves into the eternal. Understanding the three heavens described in the Bible is more than a theological study. It is a transformative experience. Each heavenly level reveals a dimension of existence that connects the earthly to the eternal, awakening a deeper understanding of spiritual purpose. This vision broadens the horizon of faith, leading to a greater perception of the divine presence in every detail of creation. The first heaven, with its visible beauty, is a constant reminder of the greatness of the Creator. The second, invisible and mysterious, challenges human understanding and reveals the power of spiritual battles. The third heaven is the apex, the eternal destiny reserved for those who persevere. Spirituality gains new meaning when we realize that the heavens are not isolated, but interconnected. They form a continuous path where each phase of life reflects a preparation for what is to come. The impact of this understanding is direct. It transforms the way we look at our choices, struggles, and hopes. The second heaven, in particular, reminds us of the reality of the forces at work beyond what is visible. This dimension reinforces the need for spiritual vigilance and the practice of faith as a shield against challenges that often have invisible origins. The promise of the third heaven inspires perseverance and surrender. Knowing that there is a place of eternal glory not only comforts, but motivates us to keep going, even in the face of difficulties. Faith ceases to be just a concept and becomes the foundation that sustains each step towards eternity. Each heaven, with its unique characteristics, also reveals a reflection of our relationship with God. It's like a mirror that shows us where we are and invites us to go further. This spiritual journey is not just individual. It connects to the greater purpose of all creation. The spiritual impact of the three heavens is profound because it reminds us that we are not mere passengers in existence. Each of us has a role in this eternal plane, where the physical, the spiritual, and the divine converge to form the greater story of humanity. This revelation also breaks down the barriers between the material and the spiritual. What once seemed separate is now perceived as part of a greater whole. Earthly life gains meaning, not as an end in itself, but as a chapter in something eternal. By understanding the three heavens, we are challenged to live more consciously, knowing that every choice reflects a greater reality. It is a call to walk towards the ultimate purpose, which culminates in the encounter with the third heaven. Although the Bible clearly mentions the three heavens, This topic is rarely addressed in sermons or discussions. The silence surrounding this revelation raises questions about what prevents so many churches from exploring such a profound and transformative subject. There is a clear discomfort in dealing with something that goes beyond the tangible. Talking about heaven is not only about touching on the spiritual, but also about confronting ideas that challenge the focus on the material. Many messages focus on the practicalities of everyday life, while the three heavens demand a deeper dive into the meaning of existence. This in itself is challenging for many. The complexity of the subject also contributes to this distance. Understanding the three heavens requires more than knowledge. It demands an openness to spiritual truths that are not always easy to accept. The invisible struggle in the second heaven and the promise of the third directly confront the mentality limited to what is earthly. Another point is the impact this message can have. Talking about the third heaven, for example, can shift many people's attention to the eternal, taking the focus away from immediate needs. It's a change of perspective that not everyone is ready to accept or teach. What's more, dealing with this subject means delving into areas that may seem uncomfortable to some religious leaders. The spiritual battles in the second heaven reveal a constant conflict that can frighten those who prefer lighter or more inspiring messages. This silence, however, does not diminish the importance of the topic. On the contrary, it makes even more evident the need to bring to light this truth that connects earthly life to eternal purpose. The message of the three heavens is a powerful reminder that faith is not just a comfort, but a direction towards something greater. The absence of this preaching also reflects the impact of materialism on our spirituality. The more attached we are to what is tangible, the less room there is to understand what cannot be seen. The three heavens, by their nature, confront this limited vision and call for reflection. Despite resistance to addressing this topic, it is still present in Scripture, waiting for hearts willing to listen and understand. It is not a subject destined for oblivion, but an invitation to explore the mysteries of God with depth and courage. The preaching of the three heavens, when done, challenges, transforms, and elevates understanding about the purpose of life. It is not just a teaching, but a call to eternity, reminding us that every choice we make here reflects something much greater. The idea of the three heavens in the Bible does not arise in isolation. At the time the texts were written, the vision of multiple heavenly layers was widely accepted in various ancient cultures. For the Hebrews, these heavens represented more than simple physical divisions. They were profound symbols of the connection between the human and the divine. The first heaven, visible and tangible, referred to immediate creation, something that everyone could observe and admire. The second sky, with its invisibility, was a representation of spiritual forces and the unknown. Finally, the third heaven stood out as the place of the supreme divine presence, a promise of hope for the faithful. This structure not only reflected a spiritual organization, but also dialogued with the cosmic perception of the time, where the heavens were seen as a reflection of divine order. The biblical message, however, transcended this context, presenting the heavens as dimensions that connect each person to eternal purpose. Understanding the three heavens described in the Bible is not just a theological question. It is something that can directly transform the way we live. Each heavenly dimension brings lessons that apply to everyday life, showing how the earthly and the spiritual are deeply connected. The first heaven, with its visible beauty, teaches us to value creation and recognize the divine presence in every detail of the world. The second heaven, where spiritual battles take place, reinforces the importance of being mindful of the choices we make, as well as seeking protection and wisdom through prayer. The promise of the third heaven inspires hope and perseverance. Knowing that there is a final destination of peace and glory helps us face our daily challenges with a renewed perspective. Every act of faith, no matter how small, reflects the search for this eternal purpose. The message of the three heavens is not isolated. It resonates in various passages of Scripture, creating a rich and profound connection with other biblical texts. This interconnection reveals how the concept extends throughout the sacred narrative, offering new angles of interpretation. In the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 26, the prophet describes a vision of the open sky, where he sees a heavenly throne and the glory of God. This vision anticipates the idea of the third heaven as the place of direct divine presence, where the Creator reveals His majesty in all its fullness. In Paul's letters, especially in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 2 to 4, he mentions being caught up to the third heaven. This account offers a glimpse of what it means to experience this heavenly dimension, even while we are still on earth, revealing a higher spiritual state. The book of Revelation, chapters 4 and 21, is full of heavenly images. Chapter 4 describes God's throne, surrounded by heavenly beings, and a scene of worship, reflecting the third heaven. Chapter 21 presents the New Jerusalem, a place of perfection, which symbolizes the final promise to the faithful and eternal communion with God. These passages show how the concept of heaven permeates the scriptures, connecting prophetic visions, spiritual experiences, and the promise of an eternal destiny. The three heavens of the Bible are not just a distant idea, but a revelation that connects earthly life to eternal purpose. Each heaven carries deep meaning, challenging the way we view creation, faith, and eternity. By understanding these dimensions, we are called to reflect on our spiritual journey and what really matters. And now, I want to know from you, which of these dimensions impacted you the most? What does this theme reveal about the purpose of life? Share your vision in the comments, as your opinion is essential for us to continue exploring these profound truths together. If you liked this content, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to learn more about the Bible and its mysteries. Don't forget to leave a like and share with someone who needs to hear this message. And if you stayed until the end, comment, "I heard the heavens."